I think you need medication.
The Mentalist, Thursday, only CD.
News Center 7 at 11 begins right now.
Residents at one Kettering apartment complex say they are fed up. They say very little is being done to fight a big problem. Good evening. I'm James Brown.
I'm Letitia Perry. They say they're dealing with a growing bed bug problem, and it's affecting their quality of life.
And Brittany McGraw live in Kettering with what's going on here. Brittany?
We spoke with residents here at Courtyards of Kettering about the problem, and they're dealing with bed bugs, those little blood-sucking insects that are smaller than the tip of your finger that can cause so much inconvenience and so much discomfort. It's to the point that some parents are sending their children elsewhere because they say the problem has gotten so bad. These residents say they want to see a solution so they can live in comfort.
It's like roaches, you know, you see one and there's actually 1,000 in there.
And Shannon McCroskey says these critters are making life miserable for her and many of her neighbors at Courtyards of Kettering.
They crawl through cracks and crevices, and it's scary when I pull up my carpet and I see all those bugs underneath there.
Shannon sent us these pictures of bed bugs in her apartment, in the furniture, and smears on the wall where she says she's been killing them by hand. Many of her belongings now sit on her patio in order to prevent further infestation.
It cost me $80 the last time I had to wash everything and dry it specifically how they said, and that's not money easy to come by, and I have to do it again.
She says apartment management has brought in exterminators to spray for bed bugs earlier this year.
It was in February that they sprayed the first time.
But she says despite repeated calls to management that didn't work, still no solution to the problem.
It's very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. I've not had my children staying with me at night. They only come over during the day because the bed bugs have been so bad.
Shannon says she's willing to do whatever it takes to bring a solution to the problem.
Fight as much as we can fight, because there's not good things going on around here.
And remember, there are always two sides to every story, and we're working to talk with management about what they're doing about this issue. We weren't able to get in contact with them or give them a call until after hours, so we haven't heard back just yet, but we are working to find out what they're doing to find a solution to this issue. Reporting live in Kettering, Brittany McGraw, News Center 7.
Okay, Brittany, thank you. An elderly woman is recovering at a local hospital tonight after she's pistol whipped in front of her own home. The robbery happened in Dayton's Five Oaks neighborhood. Police say two men hit and shoved her to the ground, demanding everything she had. All they got away with was a cigarette lighter. Five Oaks residents say crimes like this are common.
It doesn't really surprise me. I've seen people get robbed for, just walking up and down the street.
So far, no arrests have been made. If you have any information, you're asked to call Dayton police. Meanwhile, a man is robbed at gunpoint and thieves demand everything he has, except that is the 3-week-old baby the victim is holding in his arms. Dayton police say 18-year-old Jeremiah Hawkins and a younger teenage accomplice are now in custody after the robbery on Sander Court. The victim was trying to rock his baby to sleep when the two teenage robbers allegedly threatened him with a gun and demanded everything he had. The victim gave them his money.
Yeah, I think it was a smart move on his part, because who knows, if they're going to rob somebody with a baby in their arms, who knows, they could have killed the baby too.
Police arrested both suspects about 15 minutes later. The infant was not hurt.
3 men battle for the right to run for Congress this fall, but only one of them can win, and that is Joe Roberts tonight. Now he must focus on incumbent Congressman Mike Turner in November. Roberts gets 44% of the votes. Only 1% of the registered voters, though, cast their ballot in today's special election. The 25-year-old political newcomer says he's looking forward to the fall.
I'm really be able to show people that Turner really talks a lot out of both sides of his mouth. He says one thing here, and then he goes to Washington and does a completely different thing. And so we're really looking forward to letting people know that there's a big difference.
And where people vote today is a first for Ohio. Some counties have regional voting centers instead of traditional precincts. We have Mark Bruce live tonight walking us through whether this plan works. Mark, good evening.
James, good evening. The Coliseum here at the Montgomery County Fairgrounds was one of those 4 regional voting centers used here in Montgomery County. According to elections officials, it saved money, streamlined the process, and folks we talked to, voters included, say they like the idea.
Right, your stuff goes in there, your stuff goes in that second door that's open on the right.
It didn't take long for the results to make it to the Montgomery County Board of Elections tonight for a couple of reasons. One, so few people showed up at the polls, and two, there were fewer of those polling places. But voters we talked to weren't too bothered by that second reason.
A little more inconvenient because our previous polling place was literally right 1 block away, but this was not bad.
Joan McGinnis Wagner cast her vote minutes before the polls closed in Dayton. She says more people need to vote, no matter what's on the ballot.
I just really feel that this is a privilege to be able to participate in elections, and so if I have to walk a little further or drive a little further, it's worth it.
Elections administrators say the central voting locations were a pilot program authorized by the state. Leaders called it a success.
After running the election, setting up for the election, again, I think it's something we definitely want to explore for future elections.
Steve Harsman said it saved money by requiring fewer election workers. It also gave workers a chance to use electronic voter roll machines. It's something that made it easier to check in voters, something those voters appreciated.
Very pleasant. They appreciated the streamlined process.
It's a process you can expect to see in future elections as governments look to save money and make a democratic privilege easier for everyone.
Well, we want all voters in Montgomery County to be happy with their voting process.
This election was also another first. Harsman says more people in Montgomery County specifically cast their votes by mail than they did in person. He says that's a trend that's been growing during recent elections, and he expects it to continue to grow in the coming years. We're live in Dayton. I'm Mark Bruce, News Center 7.
All right, Mark, we appreciate it. New at 11, emergency crews cut away parts of an SUV to free a trapped driver in Washington Township. Two vehicles slam into each other here on Lyons Road. The SUV with two people inside winds up on its side.
It takes a lot of force to put a car on its side, so you don't know what kind of injuries these patients sustain. So it was all precautionary.
The woman and her passenger do go to the hospital. It's still not clear who's at fault here. And fighting fires is dangerous, and this particular fire even more dangerous because the building has 5 containers of gasoline inside. Our partners at the Springfield News-Sun capture this picture on Saybrook Lane in Springfield Township. The owner says he has memorabilia and about 1,200 golf clubs inside this place. Firefighters think an electrical problem starts this fire yesterday.
A female shopper is attacked by 2 women who were trying to steal her purse at a Walmart store. Tonight, that victim is telling News Center 7 that none of the store's employees helped her. Melinda Stacy claims the attack happened Monday night at the Walmart store on Bechtel Avenue in Springfield. The victim was approached by a woman who asked for help picking out clothing for her mother, who had a similar build. But when Stacy turned her back, another woman snatched her purse and ran. Stacy says she chased them down, got her purse back, but during the tussle, the 2 women scratched her face and chest. All the while, Stacy says Walmart employees looked on, later offering this excuse.
That they could not detain anyone because they didn't have any merchandise.
A Walmart spokesperson says the store is cooperating with the police investigation, and store policies currently in place are meant to protect customers as well as the associates. The Champaign County Sheriff's Office is investigating after a man is attacked by a vicious pack of dogs while sitting on his porch. It happened about a week ago at a home in the 200 block of Jefferson Avenue in Urbana. 4 pit bulls attacked Scott Schaffer and his dog, Mr. Wiggles. Schaffner was able to beat off 2 of the dogs and pull his dog to safety.
He had blood over his back. I thought it was him, but it was my blood, not his blood.
Police say the dog pack tore into Schaffner's fingers and bit his leg as well. The dog's owner was ordered to keep the animals inside, but a few days later, they were spotted again. Neighbors tell us they have now armed themselves with guns and baseball bats for protection. The owner, meantime, has been charged with having dogs running at large.
And the Springfield business owner who pockets hundreds of thousands of dollars from his employees' payroll taxes finds out his punishment. Richard Albrecht Jr. will spend 6 months in federal prison. Albrecht steals $220,000 of his employees' money between 2003 and 2005. He also faces 3 years of supervised release, and the first 4 months after prison will be on electronic monitoring. Albrecht must also pay restitution to the IRS and serve 100 hours of community service. But a much longer prison sentence for this former school teacher in Springfield. During sentencing today, Anthony Parker cries while apologizing for having a sexual relationship with a student. Parker met the 16-year-old female student privately off school grounds. In January, deputies found out about it and arrested him. The victim's family asked the judge to send Parker to prison for 20 years. The judge decides on 15 years in state prison.
Deputies call it a disturbing new trend. More women than ever are dealing drugs. Today, local officers went out searching for more than a dozen drug dealers. Armed with indictments, Clark County deputies hit the streets looking for 17 people. They found that many of the women were not alone while selling those drugs.
Disturbing trend that we have mothers engaging in drug trafficking with children present.
The deputies joined members of the So Fast task force collecting evidence like drugs and guns. So far, 9 of the 17 wanted suspects have been taken into custody. A Dayton man accused of shaking a 6-month-old baby so hard the infant's brain began to bleed goes to court. Today, 23-year-old Brian Hamill pled not guilty to felony child endangering charges. Police say Hamill violently shook the infant and then tossed her onto a bed at the Spring Valley Street home he shares with his girlfriend. The baby girl was in the hospital for nearly 2 weeks and was just released yesterday. If found guilty, Hamill faces up to 8 years in prison. Right now, though, he's being held in the Montgomery County Jail on a $500,000 bond.
Part of an email was supposed to make Dayton city workers laugh, but now this joke has the city administrator in the middle of an internal investigation. And the Dayton Daily News has the story for you tomorrow. The joke includes the Peanuts character Charlie Brown. The city says Danetta Brown Griffith sent out the email, and she is the city Department's of Safety administrator. Make sure you check out the story tomorrow morning. You can read it there. And rain comes down so hard in parts of the valley today, storm drains cannot keep up, and this causes flooding and even closes some streets. One area off limits to drivers for a while here in Dayton as the lanes heading north on Edwin C. Moses Boulevard near 3rd Street turn into more of a lake. Eventually, though, the rain lets up, the flooding goes down, and the road opens back up to drivers.
Happy to say, at least for now, the rain has passed.
Isn't that the truth? We've had enough for one day, I'd say. Chief Meteorologist Jamie Simpson standing by, and we like that image behind you. Thank you.
We do, and live Doppler 7 radar is showing no rain at this very moment. But take you back over the last 3 hours, did have a few more showers, not in the south where the heaviest rain was, but instead across the northwest. But as they drifted out of Mercer County into Darke County, as you can see, 9:30, 10, 10:30, dying out. So good news, we won't have any more rain the rest of the night, but lingering effects from the rain, well, that's our next problem. Take a look at Springboro, where 2.4 inches of rain fell today, 66, relative humidity 95%. Yeah, you guessed it. We're going to be dealing with some fog, which could be dense across the south. So that's a problem in the morning. Tomorrow afternoon, a different problem from today's rain. I'll explain what that is coming up in a bit.
All right, Jamie, thank you. One of America's most notorious teenage bandits is headed back to the United States to face criminal charges.
And the big moving day almost here for 2 brothers who live right here in the valley. The hope is this will help them live a longer, more comfortable life.
Plus, local companies can hire teenagers and not have to spend their own money to pay them. But right now, there are more workers than companies in the program.
News Headers Heaven is brought to you by the injury lawyers of Elk & Elk. Call 800-ELK-OHIO today.
Here at the Ford Model Year-End Sales Event, Joel's daughter has fallen in love with Ford Focus. And really, who can blame her? Focus is good-looking and very smart. That Sync technology is like a giant brain. And now, Ford Focus is highest ranked in initial quality. Very attractive. As for Joel, well, he's not losing a daughter. He's gaining a Focus.
Now with up to $3,250 in total savings, you can own a Ford Focus S for only $13,354.
What are you waiting for? Drive one.
Eagle News.
How about this business model? Companies right here in the valley can bring in young, creative adults, have them work for several weeks, and then have somebody else pay them. Organizers love the idea, but say not enough companies are taking advantage. The Dayton Urban League and Montgomery County are responsible for these employees.
We're very fortunate to be able to have federal funds that have been allocated to the Dayton Urban League by way of Montgomery County to allow for the salaries of these individuals to be paid in full by the funds from Montgomery County.
Anybody out there with a business and wants to take advantage of this program needs to call the Urban League. The number is 220-6650. And we have a news crew in Fairborn today watching a film crew from Europe. They capture workers putting the final touches on a home for the oldest conjoined twins in the world. Ronnie and Donnie Gallions move into their brother's house Friday. Now, the new specialized edition will help the brothers live a much more comfortable life.
This open wide setup, specialized toilet, the whole 9 yards, gives them that opportunity to spend the rest of their days in peace and comfort in their own home with family.
I stand corrected, folks. That home is in Beaver Creek, not Fairborn. I apologize. Crews had to stop work several times because they had run out of money. But thanks to groups and other private individuals, they've come through, and the brothers will have a very nice home.
The Barefoot Bandit, as he's known, has pleaded guilty to a minor offense in the Bahamas and is expected to be deported back to the United States, where he will face even more charges. Colton Harris Moore pled guilty to illegal entry onto the Nassau Island. That charge carries a $300 fine or 3 months in jail, followed by deportation. The teenager's lawyer says the U.S. Embassy will pay that fine, but in the U.S. he faces charges of stealing cars, boats, and even the airplane that he allegedly used to get to the Bahamas. The 19-year-old spent 2 years evading police before being captured on Sunday. Roads are shut down in parts of South Africa after a major snowstorm hits there. Take a look at this. Police in the Eastern Cape warned drivers to stay off the roads, but some people decided to have a little fun with it. There is good news, though, for those who do not like the snow. Clear skies, warmer temperatures are in the forecast by the weekend.
Okay, so I guess it can always be worse.
Yeah, I guess, is that a weather phenomenon? Snow and...
That's actually,
well, it is winter. It is winter there, and I was just thinking it's a good thing the World Cup wrapped up a few days ago before that hit. I'm not sure if that was anywhere close to any of the venues for that, but it is winter in the southern hemisphere right now, and that is the case in South Africa. Meanwhile, we're about to get very summery again the next couple of days after a lot of rain fell across the area. Part of the area, south and east today. And take a look at this photo from Huber Heights from Eyewitness 7 reporter Aaron D. 89. Now, keep in mind in Huber Heights, just under an inch of rain fell, but it all came in a very short period of time. And the end result was some standing water, probably about 6 inches deep, if not deeper there, and up to the ankles here just south of Xenia. This is from Eyewitness 7 reporter W. Campbell. Now, there was a sharp cutoff with the rainfall today. Dayton Airport, only a trace of rain. I mentioned just a moment ago, Huber Heights had just under an inch. Not very far between those two places, and 79 at the airport, but we were in the low 70s south where the rain fell. The north hit the mid-80s this afternoon, so it made a big difference on temperatures as well. Here are some rainfall amounts. On the left, what fell today. On the right, yesterday and today combined. Downtown Dayton, 3 3/4 inches of rain. That's a month's amount of rain in 2 days. Beaver Creek, about 3 inches. Springboro, close to that. Lebanon as well. And notice, most of that was from today. Springboro and Lebanon got hit the hardest during the day today. Englewood, nothing today. 2 inches yesterday. Bottom line, a lot of rain, I-70 south the last couple of days. Temperatures are sitting in the mid to upper 60s. They will hold pretty much steady through the night, and we are going to see some fog develop without a doubt, probably forming already, and where the rain was heaviest, Springfield, Dayton, south and east, that fog could be dense in the morning. Live Doppler 7 radar, here's some good news. No rain falling anymore. It all tapered off as we headed through the evening, and the rain is now well off to our east. Meantime, skies clearing across the area, another ingredient that is going to guarantee some fog, which could be dense tomorrow morning. So as Futurecast heads through the night, clear skies. Again, the south and east, especially some dense fog. Temperatures will be in the 60s to start off, and all that moisture just lifts up into the air. We get some scattered clouds in the afternoon. Here's the other thing the rain today is going to do. That sun evaporates the moisture, and the humidity is going to be very high tomorrow. Very uncomfortable, I think, across the area. As we head through the evening, we clear out again. Probably a little patchy fog to start off Wednesday morning as we drop down to about 70. And Wednesday, or Thursday, I should say, we warm up to about 90 in the afternoon. Could be a few thunderstorms far northwest late in the day. All right, your forecast, 66 or so, holding steady through the night. Fog could be dense across the south and the east, could cause some slowdowns for your morning commute. Then just some scattered clouds. 87 and very muggy tomorrow afternoon. 91 Thursday, maybe a late thunderstorm northwest. We all get some on Friday as a cold front comes through. Good news for the weekend, though. Humidity drops. Looks like pretty decent afternoon Saturday and Sunday for the air show, but it will be warm. Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Some world-class golf comes to the Miami Valley this week, and baseball mourns the loss of the boss. Perhaps the game's biggest name who never played. Those stories up next. Stay right there.
We brought you live coverage as police investigated a home invasion.
It left 2 men in the hospital, one of them beaten with his own cane.
That was Tuesday. For overnight breaking news, we'll see you Wednesday. It all starts at 5 a.m.
Ellen's got Twilight's Kellen Lives, plus country superstar Carrie Underwood.
You're welcome.
Next, Ellen.
Tomorrow at 4 on Channel 7.
Hi again, everybody. George Steinbrenner was never really good at taking no for an answer. This was a guy who wouldn't be told how much he could spend on his payroll and had little tolerance for a manager who couldn't get his team to the top. Baseball lost one of its iconic figures today. The Yankees' boss died of a heart attack this morning.
You didn't work with him, you worked for him. I don't think there's any question. George liked being the boss, and I think when you went on board there, I think the only one that really took issue with that was Billy Martin.
You know, he was tough, but he was always there to support you also, you know, and again, I don't think enough is said about the support that he would give you.
Historically,
but it was tough support, so I think sometimes the tough support doesn't get, you know, quite the limelight.
I never really felt that his expectations were overbearing. I felt he just wanted what all of us wanted, to win.
All right, the All-Star game is in the 8th inning out in Anaheim. The National League, which hasn't won in years, is on top right now, 3-1 in the 8th inning. Golf's nationwide tour makes a stop down in Warren County this week. The Chiquita Classic welcomes some future stars of the PGA Tour down to the TPC Rivers Bend course in South Lebanon. This is the same talent we saw at Heatherwood and Yankee Trace for several years, a mix of guys who have been to the big stage and want to get back, and those still hoping to find the spotlight.
My rookie year out here was my first year as a pro also, so I really had no clue what I was doing, to be honest with you, and now I seem to sort of have some things figured out, and I'm really comfortable playing out here, and I think that's definitely showed.
Traveling is the hardest part about doing what we do, going from town to town, city to city, airport to airport, or just putting 10 hours in the car, and you know, that's the hardest part.
A few putts now and then, a couple of good breaks, and you find yourself in the top 3 with a chance to win on Sunday. And a few bad breaks, you're looking at missing the cut. And Nationwide Tour is kind of strange. And if you make the cut, you're usually within 6-7 shots of the lead. On the PGA Tour, if you make the cut, you might be 12 back. So make the cut's a big deal out here. Good chance of winning if you do.
Whether you're a fan of boxing or not, you owe it to yourself to head downtown on Saturday night to check out some up-and-coming men and women who will step into the ring under the stars. It's all part of the ongoing display called Throwdown at 5th and Brown, a celebration of punchers and painters. Dayton Daily News sports writer Tom Archdeacon showing off his collection of more than 30 years covering boxing around the world. But the big event on Saturday is in the ring.
We've got 6 fights. We've rented a ring. We're going to close the street off. The city's cooperating with us, and we're going to have 6 bouts under the lights. The fights start at 8:30, and it's mostly local people.
The thing that's been great, the real surprise, is it's brought in some nice crowds, people from the suburbs, people from the west side, white, black, fight people, people that don't care a thing about fights, and they're all mixing together, and people that would never have known each other kind of have made connections, and we've tried to make it a party.
That party starts at 6 o'clock Saturday at the Color of Energy Gallery at 5th and Brown Streets. The fun moves down outside Drake's Gym, and the fights will start around 8:30 or so. Then it's back to the Oregon District for a little post-fight fun. There you go.
It's all free.
Yeah, you can't beat the price.
Thank you, Michael.
Everything sounds different underwater.
Including music. Wonder if it sounds any better this time. We'll let you decide.
News Header 7 is brought to you by Thorson, Swatala, Mondock, and Sneed.
Next, Dr. Phil. Parents setting their kids on fire for the sake of TV.
For us, it's the fun factor.
Dr. Phil, tomorrow at 10 on Channel 7.
Over the weekend, more than 500 snorkelers gathered in the Florida Keys for an underwater music festival. The concert goers listened from speakers suspended from boats above. The playlist featured ocean anthems like the Beatles' Yellow Submarine and Jimmy Buffett's Fins. Fans of the 4-hour underwater music festival spoofed the Mad Haddock and Cheshire Catfish characters reminiscent of Alice in Wonderland. Strange.
I think we ought to send you on special assignment. You go down there and...
I'm not getting underwater, remember?
I understand. A water issue. We won't talk about it. We'll be right back. As always, we appreciate your company, everybody. Take care.
If you see news happening, call News Center 7 at pound 7 TV on your Cincinnati Bell Wireless. Natasha Williams, mornings on News Center 7.